And there's that. Then there's nothing for us to share right now. So this is how the class is gonna go about today. We're gonna have um a review of the homework, all three groups, and then we're gonna have a quick session overview of testing tools, test management tools. Uh, I won't be presenting any tools because I do not have the licenses, and I'm not going to pay for those licenses. They're very expensive. Uh, but I will be talking about uh, the tools, why we need them, why we use them, why they are required, and then I'm gonna give you a list of some of those test management tools. Um, if we have time, we can look some of those together, or for homework, you're gonna be looking at those yourselves. All right. With that said, let's kick it off with reviews. So, who was it that uh, first things first? Who finished the homework? What group finished the homework?
My group, we semi-finished it. I don't know
Semi.
if you saw my
Okay, you're
message.
the one that sent me the
Yeah,
message about submitting it late.
yeah, but I did send it over to you. I
Okay.
sent over what I had,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, we were just like very unsure on how to fill out some of the stuff on the Word document. But other than that, like we during our various meetings throughout the week, we went through the STLC protocol verbally. We talked about everything. And I actually did give my group a little bit of a homework assignment within what you already gave us, just to see what bugs they would catch themselves, and then we reviewed that and compared what everyone caught, and that's what we listed on um, the sheets that we sent over.
Okay. All right. I do have a couple of emails here. Nope, that is spring batch. This is not it. Okay. A few documents here. Okay, for my own reference. All right, so I see Syed's. Then I have two documents from Famida. So Syed one doc. Famida two docs. And then Rifat, I'm assuming that you are the initials FM.
Yeah, that's from
Yeah,
Rifat.
yeah.
Okay. Perfecto. My eyes are extremely dry from having to be looking at screens all day. Oof. Okay. All right. So first I want to ask, how did everybody feel about the homework?
I felt it was a very good exercise, especially for somebody that's been trying to study and catch up. So for me, it was a good review, and I'm glad we did it in teams because it really allowed me to mess up and then fix the mistake and then really figure out what it is that I'm trying to do.
Fair enough, very well. Good feedback. Anybody else?
You might want to wipe the Visine off your face a little bit. Looks like you're crying.
Yeah, it's a bit of a so
But
it just drips off the side.
yeah,
Okay.
but for the homework, I mean, I feel like just like John Zip was just saying, it was a really good exercise to do, especially working with my team. And I felt like it helped us all work together and put us more so in a group setting as we would be if we do hopefully we all do get jobs. So it felt good being in a setting like that.
Very good. That's the goal. That is the end goal. Um, very good. Anyone else wants to share their thoughts?
I was very confused in the beginning until our team lead, uh, Sayed, he explained us everything in detail. So it was much more clear. And then I got the point that what we need to do actually.
Okay, very good. Now we're starting to enter into the realm of what this group exercise meant. Um, very good. Anyone else? Okay. All right. So very good feedback. Thank you all for that feedback as well. Um, okay. So that's a good exercise. So don't mind me. I'm just adding notes as I go because this is trial and error as well. So I'll explain a little bit about the exercise, the motive. Um, so a lot of things you guys mentioned, it's encompasses really the true meaning of why we went ahead with this exercise. Um, I'm gonna touch upon first the fact that this could very well be a real life scenario for you at work. So if you were working at a company um, and you were building an app that had those specifications that where you had to test set functionalities, that's exactly what you would have had to do. So whatever you did, I don't know. We're gonna go over that in a moment, but um, you know, the goal of this was to bring about communication. Okay. Um, I gave you a lot of information when I gave you the homework, but I was tempted to really keep more of that back because I wanted to encourage you guys to, engage more. I'm not sure how much you guys engaged um, in this past week. So, and I know thing it's difficult. Everybody works. Everybody has a, life, family, you name it. Um, so, you know, a text here and there, a call here and there, it means it matters because um, it's that communication. So in any team that you go, that you join, you will need that communication. You can try to shy away from things, but that will never work in your favor. Okay, so always keep an open mind to the things that you're listening to, and think to yourself, okay, well, that implies such and such, but is that right? So hi, so I have this question. Don't ever feel um, Don't ever feel ashamed of raising your hand to ask a question because um, we're not born learning. All right, so okay. The other reason um, was to nurture um, team spirit, teamwork, team effort, teammates. So understanding your companions um, is important. Most people just go to work, do their work, and then leave the office. However, those people just, tend to remain still, meaning they tend to remain um, in that same bubble, just work and go home, just work and go home. It is important to socialize. It is important to network. Networking is what propels you to do better and to be better. Networking um, encourages building character. Um, some people say introverts, and this is not calling out to introverts at all, but using introverts as an example. Uh, Introverts tend to keep to themselves a lot. Um, in fact, a lot of introverts at work when I was going to the office would just sit on their chair and, that would be about it. They just did their work. They went out, got lunch, then went back to work. Whereas the rest of the office is in this jolly mode, chatting, getting up, taking a walk, going to the next cubicle, the next co-worker, whatever, you know. Your day goes a lot faster that way. Your day goes a lot faster, and also it's more enjoyable, even if you have tough meetings. All right, or you're having a tough day. If you find yourself coding something and you can't figure it out, it's not working. Listen, never spend more than 20 minutes on that. Just get up, take a walk, talk to somebody, even ask somebody. So networking, it's important because it builds character and it also propels you to be better and reach higher goals and higher standards. So you don't, I'm sure even after you get a job, you won't want to stay in the same paycheck or pay rate for the next couple of years. You want to increase that. You want to prove yourself worth it. You want to prove yourself that that you can do more, that you can do better, that you have ideas and that those ideas deserve recognition. So always seek recognition. Never tumbling over someone else. However, but always seek recognition. It's important because the work that you do should always be recognized. With that said, I want to start with Ramita's team. I'm going to be sharing my screen in a moment. All right, guys, please let me know if you can see the screen.
Yes.
Beautiful. All right, so, oh, and maybe I didn't explain this before, but I'm not the one who's gonna talk about this. It's you. So let's see, take about 10 minutes to walk me through this, Famita, you and your team. You can assign somebody to talk about a point, or you can talk through the whole thing. Doesn't matter to me. It's you and your team that are presenting this. As a matter of fact, would you like to take control of the sharing?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, then go by all means, go right ahead. Do take control of the sharing and then present this to me and the class. And we're
So
gonna
should I
time you for 10 minutes, okay?
okay. Should I share my screen or like just
Yeah, you can share your screen. If that makes it better, or I can scroll down for you, whatever you want.
okay, you can scroll down, that's fine too.
Okay, perfect. So you can tell me to which indexing to go here. All right, so
Um, do you want me to ask my team if they want me to talk about the whole thing
by all
or
means, go right ahead. And while we're at it, Syed and Rifat, do the same thing, please.
okay, let me just ask them. Oh, okay, they want me to go. Okay. Okay, I'll go.
Okay,
So this is our test plan document for the maze game. This test plan document was prepared by 4 of us, Faria, Afrina, Arifa, and me, Famida. And when we, like if you scroll down, it's to the introduction, yeah. So starting with introduction, it's here we have mentioned like what is the purpose of this test project we're doing. It's basically we are checking different features of a single stage game, which was provided to us as a Scratch file. So that's our introduction for this test plan document. Then coming to the business background, we have tried to provide here like what's the business purpose of this game and why checking errors is essential. So we have written that it's a simple game made for children. Our target audience for this game is children. So if there are a lot of bugs, children will lose interest. So it's very essential to test the game thoroughly so that we find bugs and fix the bugs so that it gets its proper market value. Then coming to the test objective. So here we have written what's the objective of this test. So the test objective of this game is to win the game by moving the ball without touching the blue walls or the blue blocks and finish the path successfully. And by finishing the path successfully, we mean that the ball has to drop to the red box. Now, scopes are very important part for test plans. Here we have mentioned what we are deciding as in scope and out of scope. So we have written the points that were mentioned in the requirements as in scope, like if when we go to the game, if the patterns are in correct order, if the ball bounces off the blue blocks, then if the ball drops to the red box, and then when the ball goes to the red square box, which is the end game, it says you win, and then at the end of the game over backdrop is shown. Now here, as for the out of scope, I wrote the green flag, like the start button. And also, since it's a game, we thought like there might be some sound, there should be some sound effect, but since it's not in the requirement, we thought it would be, it's out of scope for us. Next comes the test types identified. So for these games, for testing this game, we have identified 4 test types. First is the functional testing. So functional testing is we are checking whether this game, the application is working according to the requirement of the document, like checking the color of the background, the walls of the red, checking the the pattern of the walls and the red square, and then checking the arrow navigation. We are checking the message when the game is over, all that. Next comes the play testing. So what is play testing? Play testing is like we are playing the game as our end user would play the game, and we are trying to see if it retains the entertainment value of the game when our end user would play the game. What would be the challenges they would face when they are playing? The performance testing, it's like checking the overall performance of the game. Basically, for performance testing, we check like overall it's like overall pattern, and then like it's a single stage game. So if we can finish in a one go. Then for the usability testing, this one, so we have written usability testing because we tried to play the game multiple times, and then we found an error that the game doesn't restart. So we thought that we are doing it as a usability. I'm a bit confused if we are right or wrong on that. Next is problems perceived. So we have mentioned what are the errors we have found while we did the test executions. It's like the ball passes through the blue. Sorry.
So, no, you're good, you're good. But just one thing of note, the test plan is a document that will tell the business and your Scrum team what you're going to test. You're not what you already tested. Unless it was a prerequisite. So in this case, you should have avoided going into the test, the testing that you've performed. That you should have covered on your test cases.
Okay, so
You get my point?
Yeah, we wrote that in the test case, but then we should not write it in the test plan, right?
Right, and the test cases were in the test case when you execute the testing, that's where you log your issues, your defects, and whatnot.
Okay.
Not of the test plan, but maybe I wasn't clear enough there. Sorry.
Okay, I got you. I'll remove the part.
Yep, no, that's fine. Just skip over that, and then you can talk about that again later when you talk about the test case.
Okay. So here we have written what are the problems we perceived when we executed the test. That the ball passes through the blue walls. The ball does not move to the left using the left arrow key. The ball moves using the space bar. So according to requirement, the ball should move only using the arrow keys, not with any other keys within the keyboard, but the ball moves with the space bar, so that's a problem. We wrote the game does not restart after it's over. I think we have to delete that again, as you mentioned. That was not in the requirement. So that part.
If it was another requirement that you could have added as a either out of scope or new requirement.
So we found it when we so we tried to like played the game multiple times, and then we found that error. So do we count that as a new requirement?
I mean, if you find an error that, if you're testing part of the functionality as part of the requirement, then and you find an error in doing so, then what does that mean? It means that you have an issue. It means that you have a defect.
Yeah.
If it wasn't part of the requirement, then here you can say out of scope testing or in scope or new requirement new requirement found while testing. you
Okay.
know.
Okay, gotcha. Next comes our architecture part. Here, okay, this part, I wasn't very clear, but I wrote that anytime we get a new requirement or there is a new changes in the game, we need to test the game and we need to be updated with that to do the new configuration support.
Okay.
The environment for the game, so about the environment part, it's like, what are the tools or what are the environment, like the hardware software parts for an application part. So here we wrote the Scratch file. I mentioned the requirements we got, and then I wrote the we wrote the Excel template to note down our test case and test results. As we don't have a tool to log in our bugs, we are doing it in our Excel template. So I wrote our Excel template.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. Next comes our assumption part.
So quick question. So quick thing. Before any test management tool existed, Excel was the go-to, guys.
Okay.
Either Microsoft Word or Excel. Now it was a pain in the neck to keep track of all these things. So
Okay.
carry on.
Next comes our assumptions part. Here we are, so to test a game, before that, we are assuming 3 points. Here, we are assuming that it's an application-based game. We are assuming it's a single stage game as per the requirement. And
You have 2 minutes.
I'm sorry?
You have 2 minutes left.
Oh, I'm sorry. And we're assuming the green flag button does not need to be tested. Next part come the functionality. So here we have written what are the functionality errors we have found, like the left arrow key doesn't work, the ball can be moved using other keys, and the ball can pass through the blue blocks. We have identified that if these functionality errors are there is a risk of the players losing interest and being involved in the it's very high that they will not be very involved in the game. So this needs to be fixed. We don't have any automation plans for that. Going next to the security portion. So this game is a very straightforward game where we don't need to input any user ID password, which are like a security threatening issues for the players or users. So we are assuming there is no security constraints. We did not found a performance constraint as well, so we didn't write. We wrote about the usability. In the usability constraint, we mentioned about the new requirement. We found that is the game does not reload. If you could go a little, if you could scroll down a bit. Yeah, so the game does not reload once it's over. So that's another risk. It's the same risk that the children might lose interest because they have to go out and then enter again to start the game. So the strategy might be the game has to redesign.
And time.
Yeah. And the next points, like we have the next 2 points are the test team organization and the schedule.
You're out of time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
We have 4 points. Should I go or?
Well, I did tell you, you have 10 minutes. I actually gave you some extra because I was interrupted in between. Uh, In 10 minutes, when you're given 10 minutes, you have to make sure that you become very concise when you're explaining something in test plan. So when your time, if you don't have to talk about everything, so for example, security, performance, if you had no constraint, you could have just blew past those two. We're gonna skip security and performance, given that we found no constraints within the current requirement scope, and you move on. You know, and the same thing you could have done for a couple of other stuff. So, you know, time yourself.
I thought like I have to like tell everything. So
That's okay. It's okay. All right. Starting at 8:39, it's going to be Syed. 39. Go ahead, Syed.
Sure.
All
All
right,
right.
go right ahead.
All right. So this is a game that we are testing for Epic Games. The company created this game to launch onto the App Store, also a web-based game. And our team's job is to find all the bugs within the game before we send it back to the development team to launch the game and make sure everything is good. The company wanted to create the game to have users addicted to it so they can put ads on and sell the data to big tech companies. And those ads are going to bring in the revenue. The test objective is to test all the features that were listed in the requirements provided by the developers as well as the project managers. And inside the scope, we listed everything that they wanted us to include and check up on first, including moving the ball, making sure other keys don't move, don't do anything to the game other than the arrow keys, moving the ball into the wall, etc. For exclusions, we did test the game. We will be testing the game as a normal user and seeing other functionalities to see what a user can and will be doing to see if there are bugs on that end. Some problems we may perceive while doing this project, maybe some time management, some lack of knowledge about the game itself. And the environment, it's a minimal cost, and so they can actually outsource the testing to minimize that cost as well. Not even not enough testing tools or knowledge of the testing tools. So now the architecture of the project is that first thing is we want to make sure that all the testers, we all understand the logic of the project, and we need to understand that our main focus is to find the bugs within the game, and first and foremost start with what is in scope, and then we will work outwards from there. In the environment, you do have the hardwares and softwares of the project, and we will be working with the software in Microsoft Office, Microsoft Excel to be exact, and the hardware, the QA team will have access to some databases. It's moving. Assumptions. There aren't that many assumptions about this project. The development team did give us all the requirements that they are looking for. So if there's anything that comes up, it may be a discrepancy, we can reach out to the development team right away. And the rest we didn't really do because ran out of time. But the functionality, I put one piece in there for constraints, where we would test the keys and the left key didn't work, but that's what we got. Yeah, we didn't fill out the rest.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
All right. Very good, Team Sayed.
Thank you, sir.
And let's start with
By the way, my
Rifat's
team, I just want to give them credit. We have Jahanzib, Sarwat, Mavish, and Rizwan. They did a great job on helping me put this report and plan together.
Okay, duly noted.
Thank you, buddy.
Love it. All right, Rifat's team, you will start in, bear with me. All right, we'll start you off. We'll give you 10 seconds extra here. Go ahead, start now.
I will take point in that one, is Fatima.
Sure.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. So, tell me if I'm going too fast, because the last time I presented something, it was the time when dinosaur was roaming on this earth. So what I did, I think it's almost similar to everyone because I'm the last one to go. So the test plan was, we tested a game that's a simple one, and it's for the kids. And of course, it was for a target audience. And our objective was to make a game that is completely smoothly played without any bugs. And of course, the ultimate objective was to earn revenues and of course to attract the other commercials. And the scope is in scope, out of scope. That's all based on the requirements we went through in the test cases. So I don't want to go into that since we have a limited time. And we did mostly functionality testing. And I think we did one usability testing, and the problem perceived as the instructor already told us, we need to make some tweaking on that. So I'm not going to go on that portion either, because I think we did something wrong over there, right? Yes or no?
On
That
where?
part, on the point number 6, problem perceived.
Ron perceives.
That's what you told Fahmida, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go over there. And
All
the architecture part, that wasn't clear to us since we don't know anything about the hardware of the game, like what kind of hardware is going to be used on this game. But the software part, we know a little bit since we have used the Excel and the Word, and we use Google Docs. So we just wrote in like a little bit vague. Every time there is an update, we're going to make sure that the hardware is compatible with the update. And then the environment we wrote, we have to have, before every time we do the test, we have to have access to the requirement documents and also the scratch file that was given to us by the product owner, which is our instructor. And we, before we started the test plan, we are assuming that it's an application-based game since it was given to us in a scratch file. It's just our assumption. I don't know, because a lot of things, this is the first time we're doing it, so we could be incorrect. And then there comes the functionality testing that we did, and our test cases are provided in an Excel sheet. I'm hoping we could go to that after we finish the test cases, so I could show you in details. So there are 3 bugs here. Number 1 is the ball goes to the blue wall, and then there were another one we found that is the left arrow key that doesn't move. And then there was another requirement in the 5th requirement that was none other key should not move the ball, but that we found that the space bar moves the ball in the left direction. Please tell me if I'm going too fast.
Okay.
Yeah, then could
This
you
is your
just move
time.
down? Yeah, could you just move down a little bit?
Certainly.
Yeah. And then there are the test strategy for bug number one, constraint number one, constraint number 2 and 3. There is given a little bit details on the test cases, test strategies that we planned before the test cases. Here is the ID given, and then how we are gonna do it. There is the description that says to verify the yellow ball cannot go through the blue balls. And what is the standard? Standard means what is the expected result. The ball cannot go through the blue wall, but when we tested it, it shows that the ball goes through the blue wall. Then we put a risk and mitigation, that's just standard. And what is the entry and exit criteria, which means when we're starting a test case, what do we write? That's just before starting, we have to get the approval of the management, and we need to notify before testing. The development and the business team needs to know which days we are testing it. And again, once everything is done, we have to make sure that all the tests have been done and all of the data should be provided to the management, all those things. And then again, what is the test environment? We already talked about that. And approval means all of our test was approved by our team leader, that's Rifat. And the deliverables is just the date, which day we did. The same thing is for every constraint. Constraint number 1, constraint number 2, and constraint number 3. Could you move down, please? Do I have to go through all of them? Because I really want to show you the bugs.
You tell me where you want to go.
Go down. Because this is the first time I do it. We did it, so I'm super excited. I don't know whether I did it right or wrong.
Okay, so we're skipping all this.
Yeah, because security, there is none because it's not a web-based game. So there is no threat from outside. So that's about it. And usability, we found a bug. It's kind of like out of scope. That's the when we try, the game doesn't reload. That's one thing we found that wasn't in the original requirement. When we played it, we found it. And that's also put in the test strategy. So you can go down. I just wanted to show you the way we presented the bug. Is it okay or not? And
Okay,
here
so
is our team.
Which index is it? The effects?
Yeah, yeah, that's how we put it. I just wanted to show this one because here I have a question about the classification. We put them like the critical is the one where the ball goes through the blue walls. That's kind of like mess up the whole game plan because the ball was supposed to go, move through the void part, not go through the walls. That bug we put as critical. And then where is the left key doesn't work and the space bar work instead of the left key, those are kind of like the similar bug, but we put that as major and minor. And there is a usability one where the game doesn't reload. That's also we put as a major bug. But the next table that we put, that one I just wanted to make sure because we couldn't complete it. Once the bug, we created them and we ID'd them, then we send it to developer. After that, how we kept it empty because we don't have the data after that. So that's how it's supposed to be, right?
I don't know.
So are we supposed to put some fake data in it?
I don't
Do
know.
you want us to? Oh, that's not nice. You're the teacher.
You have 2 minutes left.
I will
on.
be very sad for the empty space if I get a. Okay, never mind. Okay, after that, what else we have? The rest of it is not important for me. Those are just like for writing's sake. So what
Okay.
it's after that is the configuration management. That's again kind of like vague for us because we have no idea or specific data for what kind of hardware we're using for this game. So I just wrote here like it should be compatible for various type of devices. It could be like throughout a lot of gaming devices like Nintendo or Xboxes, or even various kind of screen sizes. It could be mobile devices, or it could be like even we could put it like a larger screen that could be difficult for a single stage game like this. I don't know. And then when it comes to release criteria, we have to think about all those requirement, is it met or not? And had we checked all the compatibilities before we release it to the market or not? Do we have time to show the test cases?
Not yet.
Oh,
We'll
Not
do
even a
it, but
minute?
not yet.
okay. Then I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, very good. All right. Very nice, everyone. Very good job, all across.
Oh, sorry, I forgot
okay.
to thank my teammates. I bothered them a lot for this. Like really, I just, the only thing I didn't do is strangle them to death.
Huh,
So I'm very grateful.
okay. Well, yes, good thing you didn't do that. Okay, so couple of things. First to Famita's team. Is this Famita's? This is Famita's, right? Yes. All right, Famita, just from a couple of notes that I took that I could take. So I addressed some of those while you were talking, which for that I apologize, but I was trying to also save you a little time so you could get as far as you could from the test plan. So you mentioned, so on your section of performance, here, so even if we don't have any testing tools, there's something you have to consider. When it comes to non-functional testing, performance testing is essential because, especially on a game. So, and this goes really to all of you. Performance deals with, let's talk about load. So, user load. How many users are playing the game at the same time? If it is an online game, if it is a single player game, there's really not much that you can think do about that. However, you can consider response time. Response time happens when you move the ball. If there's any delay, how long does it take for once you press the moving key for the ball to start moving? There's a performance issues. There's a performance considerations whenever you're testing a video game. Okay, so let's keep this stuff in mind.
Okay.
Let's see. All right, and functionality. So I understand where the confusion was, and I know I addressed a little bit as we're talking, but yeah. So functionality, your functionality shouldn't be of what the constraint is. The functionality should be of what is supposed to happen in the application. So what is meant so what is each key meant to perform? The functionality is that the forward key should move the ball forward. That if you press the start the go button, it should initiate the sequencing, right? Those are the functionalities that you should have considered. So the same goes for everybody else. So keep those stuff in mind. Okay.
Okay.
Overall, I think you guys did a pretty good job on your test plan. Just make sure that you keep this kind of stuff, the kind of stuff that you do at the execution level, out of the test plan, because it is not required. At the test plan level, what we want to do is explain the testing that we're going to perform, okay, and how that document is going to help us reach the end goal. to be able to deploy that product, right? In this case, the game.
Yeah, got you.
Uh, very good job overall.
Thank you.
Next, we're gonna go with Syed. Syed. Syed, for you. So one of the things I want to mention is, so you started filling this out really nicely. You started off really well. You used a lot of good wording there when excuse me for that, when explaining your test plan, and that was very well thought out. However, you came up short when you came up to test types identified. This should have been one of your major touch points here. As this is the part where you are going to be talking about, set functionalities that should be considered, right? So based on the scope, based on the requirements, here you should have most of your information. So this is a big loss for you guys right here, this piece. Now I understand you guys couldn't finish
Gotcha.
the entire test plan.
Yeah.
So
No, that's
a-
understandable because we're literally in testing and I didn't write in the test part.
Yeah, okay. Well, remember, once again, you could have just written that based off of the requirement, not off of the testing. So like I explained earlier, the testing happens afterwards. The test plan is the first thing before you begin testing. So say, for example, you're in SIT, system integration testing. This is what happens when you're about to do the end-to-end testing for the functionalities that you guys tested. So in this scenario, this test plan right here that you guys have, this was going to help you get through that SIT. Okay, so you guys share this with your business, with the stakeholders, with the PO, BA, the developers as well. So it helps everybody come together to say, okay, well, you're considering this, you're considering that, and so and such. So, it engages the team to say, okay, what about this? What about that? Okay. Right now, so I have a May release coming up. So the testing is happening now in April. So I have 7 teams right now submitting a bunch of test plans that I have to review on a daily. And the team is also reviewing them. So
Is this
the team,
a type of template that's used in the real world?
yes, you could very well use that template. This is a good template. In fact, has way too many things. To be
Could
honest.
you if you don't mind, could you please give us like example or or show us how how it looks like?
Sure, that means I will have to access my work, and I can't do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I can try to create my own test plan, and I can share that with you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll do that. So action item for me. Create test plan. Sure. All right.
Yeah, I'm asking sometimes you have like a demo just to show us and give us an idea how does it look like, in the real world.
Well, so test plans vary based on teams and based on projects or employers. So you won't always find the same test plan. So don't think that one template is one template to rule them all, right?
Okay.
Come on, guys, it's a Lord of the Rings reference. Okay, fine. Um, so it's not really just one test plan template that exists. You can create your own test plan template for for anything. Now, companies more often than not have their own test plan templates also, which are more often than not provided by your quality manager, um, or the um, or the quality center. So if you're in corporate America, we have what's called a QCOE, uh, quality center of excellence. QCOE, yeah, quality center of excellence. So these guys, they work on frameworks for the company. They work on test plan templates, what PPT you should use, all kinds of stuff. So depending on where you go, what company you go to, like you'll probably already have all of these things there for you. Okay. And initially, so, this is mostly for the test leads to engage. So if
I
you're the
have
test
some
lead,
question.
yeah.
Okay, as a member of site team, so I have some question about the test plan. We see that there are some point is little same, like performance testing is same template, usability has same template, and many of these is same template, right? So I literally try to figure out there are various types of test plan template, and here my question is like risk identification and mitigation plan, test strategy, automation plans, deliverables. It's just one part of the test plan. I see there are a lot of test plan, but here we need to write down 4 or 5 points. So in this case, how we figure out this, the way what we
Right.
should run, what we should write, because deliverables is like 1 point. I see a different types of test plan, but here we need to write four
I
points
understand.
deliverables.
I
Yeah,
understand.
that's my question.
I understand. So here's what happens. So say, for example, let's talk about security. So if you were to talk about the security point, constraints and resolutions, you can talk about certain constraints that prevent you from doing certain testing. For example, constraint maybe access, admin access, right? That's one constraint that you can note for security. I'm not saying that this applies to this, okay? I'm just giving you an example. So risk identified and mitigation plan. So one risk, so if you find any risk within your security testing, right, within the security, if there is security testing in your plan for your testing.
Yeah, there are also various types of testing type. Like we need to figure out the which project we have, then we figure out what type of testing types we use, right? So
Right.
it
So
varies.
in test types identified,
Yeah.
remember when I mentioned that this was a big loss for you guys, because this would have been this would have been what drove the rest of the test plan for you guys. So
Sorry. Maybe I don't add this, but I have the point. So it's our
okay.
fault to figure out this. Is no problem. So
Well, you're
it's
all
okay.
a team, so
Yeah.
this
That's right.
is
So
not on one person. This is on a
yeah, I know
this is
that.
on a team, which is what I was about to
You're sorry
mention
for that.
next.
But my question is here, there are a lot of testing type, lot of. So in this project, what type of test type we use in this project? Like
Well,
UAT, is
that
system
was for
testing,
you as a
integration
team.
testing. Yeah,
Yeah, that was for
I
you as a
use.
team
Mhm.
to come up to talk about and figure out. So if you have a game, so if you have a game
Mhm.
that moves the ball when you press a key, so system testing comes to mind.
Yeah, we have this one, system testing.
Yeah, integration testing comes to mind. Let's see, performance for sure. This is non-functional, however.
Can I use API testing here?
Um, so if you would have identified it as a, if you would have identify it as a game that received information from a cloud service, then yes, but it does. What this game does is that it reacts based on keys pressed, right?
Yeah.
So that's where you should have focused on system integration, which in
Okay.
this case is, you know, touching keys, reaching a point, seeing expected result, right? Whereas API testing is something that doesn't really go to that extent. Because we're not using any cloud service. It's not connected to any servers at all. And it's not receiving any data based on request inputs. So for example, if I had to press a key and that key press had to go through a series of intricate backend keys and stored procedures, then receives back a response, and then it sends that response to the ball, and then the ball moves, then yes, API testing would have been required. What is that? Because what moves the ball is a key press.
Yes.
So yeah, so testing types identified are important because it tells you, you know, the testing types that you're going to be looking for. From those testing types, functional testing, integration testing, system testing, unit testing. Okay, all of these things would have been identified there. So to complete your question, you know, if you're actually doing each of these individually, if they apply, then you will set up a constraint for security if you had any, or no constraints identified, risk and mitigation plan if there was a risk. If there was no risk, then no risk identified, you know, and so on and so forth. However, this kind of stuff here is not exactly how you should write a test plan. The test plan that I gave you, the template that I gave you, is mainly used in waterfall methods. Waterfall methods are very antique at this point, and we don't often use them, okay? Unless you're in a project that is very legacy, very vintage, I'll call it. Okay, that in itself would be more appropriate. But alas, like I mentioned, companies have their own procedures for this kind of stuff. Okay. And more often than not, whenever you join, unless you join a startup and you join as a fresh QA and they have nobody else and you're the only one, then they'll be expecting you to get some stuff going. Yeah. But you'll still have a manager. You'll still have a manager, so. Oh yeah, and one last thing was architecture.
Okay, one more question, like Infosys limitation. So it's our limitation. This table is for ours.
If there are any limitations
So
within the
if there are any QA
within the
limitations, right?
infosystem.
Okay.
Yeah, within the infosystem. And once again, you don't really you don't really have to worry much about this piece right here. So
Okay.
this, once again, this in a real scenario, unless you're doing waterfall, you won't see any of this stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I understand your concern. I understand your question. Just that in a sense, that's my fault because I gave you a very old template. Maybe I should create my own template. That's what I'll do. I'll create my own template. So in the architecture, What I would have expected here is really for you to note, um, it's really for you to note, some connectivity, flow path, right? This was something honestly missed by the three teams. However, Rifat's team, did understand the fact that there were no hardware constraints, so that was good. Um, a hardware constraint, so that was good. However, not entirely correct, because in order for you to move it, you require a hardware. The hardware is a keyboard. Um, but then nothing in the software. So if to all of the teams, if I had to say, if I had to speak about the architecture of the game, I will start connecting, at least two things from the get-go. I will start connecting the code base. Okay, I will start connecting the code base, into the functionality box. So what makes, so where does the code and the functionality meet? And then that triggers the product. So that would have been an architecture flow chart that you could have think about. Okay, when it comes to software. Ending by the hardware input being a keyboard. You can't really see that, but okay. Yeah, I don't know why your face is out. So, you know, that is in itself a hardware. And that's my comments for Syed. So moving on to Rifat's team. This is Rifat's team, right? Yes. All right, so a couple of things for Rifat's team. So I mentioned the architecture. It was good the way you started talking about it. Once again, the fact that you actually do need a hardware, but however, you did start the right way when attempting to identify architecture and how to talk about it. One of the things that I noticed, for improvement is, and you guys already heard that and began to address it. It is the adding results into the test plan. So I'm not gonna go more details about that because you guys already understand that. Now, test strategy piece. So this is mostly my fault, but I'll address it anyways. So once again, so test strategy in essence, isn't really required. I understand that you try to follow it, through and through by what it was in the template, and I appreciate that. That in a sense, I think, this was a lot of work that you guys did. So, so I think this is really good. Just that, you know, I'll
For
share.
that, do we get an extra mark?
I'll share an extra. I'll share a test plan of my own.
Thank you.
I'll share a test plan of my own so you guys can see it, where I exclude all of these things. So I'll try to do it for the game as well. So I'm trying to have it for next class.
Just for curiosity's sake, I'm just curious. If we have to do the waterfall at any time, what should go in the functionality as the constraint?
Functionality. Well, if we have a constraint,
Mhm.
if we had any constraint, for functionality, it would be, the assumption of, defects. Okay, it will be the assumption of keys not working, of, you know, initial trigger point not starting, things like that. Constraint also if you have a dependency on it, right? If you have a dependency in order to start it, for example, you have to make sure you have power, You have to have internet. Those can be constraints, okay, for functionality.
So in
Um,
that case, constraint has nothing to do with bugging.
Now,
Okay, got it.
those are defects. So constraints means dependencies that you have. Okay, prerequisites, right? Post requisites, right? Things that are not covered in your requirements, right? So your requirement is to click that button and the ball is going to go forward. Um, but you know, in order for that to happen, a separate team was working on the trigger that makes that work, and that trigger requires you know requires a batch run, right? So that's a constraint that you have on the other team for the batch run. So things like that. Yeah, the word constraint is what stops you from starting. Environmental
Yeah,
issues.
it's like a block. That's why I thought it's kind of
Yeah.
like similar to bug. That's
No,
why I
so
put it like
blockers
that.
are, yeah. So blockers are a bug can be a blocker, but not for a test plan level. A bug can be a blocker for you to continue your testing. Okay. Very good. So yeah, once again, test strategy. This is mainly my fault for adding this sort of template and actually not addressing that. But you in the future consider that if you had to write a test plan, this is not entirely necessary. Okay.
Got it. Yeah,
So
thank you.
long as in a test plan you have what's in scope, what's out of scope, the architecture that you that it travels through, um, the functionality to expect, out of scope testing. I'm not sure if I already mentioned that. Your entry criteria, your exit criteria, and your environments, if there's any issues, and then your risks. Okay. So long as you have these key items in your test plan, everything else doesn't matter.
Got it. Thank you.
And never says plus consideration of playable. Okay, one thing I liked a lot from Team Refat was the consideration of playing it in different apps. So you guys talked about whether this game will be playable in mobiles, will be played over a platform. So any type of app. So that was a very good consideration there. Which obviously this is something that you would know by the requirement, not this one, of course, but in an actual team requirement. All right, so I don't think I'm gonna be able to talk about TDM today, not TDM, TM. All right, so TMT we're gonna cover on the next class. So I have to check in with Shanto because I think Shanto has to start checking over Wednesdays and Sundays, but I'll check with him. But if I can finish this in the next class, and that'll be good, and then we can talk about a creative test plan. So because we only have about 8 minutes left and I don't want to extend it. So with that said, there was another thing that I like from the teams. You guys talked about shout outs. You guys provided shout outs. Providing shout outs is essential. It's very good. It builds team culture. It builds culture. A man of culture. So it's a good thing because one, your teammates recognize that you recognize their effort, and your overall team, your stakeholders, also hearing this now know who worked on it, who did what, and they, and they embrace team effort. So in any company that you go to, there's no I in team. Always remember that. So consider always acknowledging those who put effort, and give a shout out. It's always good, very important. Um, and like I said, it builds culture. Okay, it builds good culture in the company, in the team. You know, a shout out um, can mean better collaboration the next time. Okay. All right, let's use this last couple of minutes to go over questions and issues. So Team Famida, from you guys only, tell me what questions or concerns did you have with this? And how did you overcome any issues that you came across? Crickets.
So yeah. So we had issues to fill out the test plan. We had to like to identify the points basically at first. And then we worked together, talked about, we Googled the meanings, how to do, like what are the things we discussed, and then we wrote. And then some points that we couldn't find that much, I asked you in the middle of presenting. One was like about the architecture that we tried to write, but then we didn't really understand what was that.
Okay.
And then the other one was about the test strategy. We understood a little bit what we put, but then we weren't very sure like what we wrote, if it was correct thing. We wrote like a line, but then
No, that's fine. So once again, so this made it more confusing because it didn't really explain, you know,
yeah,
what to
because we
skip
were
and whatnot.
confused like what we are doing with it, so we just keep it short and keep like that to ask you like what we are doing with this.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I understand. Um, and once again, you guys did pretty good. Just, you know, I'm gonna give you guys a better template. I'll actually use this template, and I'll shorten it. Um, and I'll provide that to you guys. And you can even use this as a reference in the future, whenever you go on a roll and join a team or whatever. And if you find yourselves in the need of writing a test plan, you can always just use this template. Not this one, but the one I'll modify to give you.
Okay. Also, in one part that I couldn't show you.
I gotta give more the other teams a chance.
Okay.
But do note it down and bring it back to me.
Okay.
All right, Sayed's team. Crickets.
If they don't have question, can I go, please?
Sayed going once, going twice. Anybody from the team can talk or ask. Going thrice.
Hi, I think Syed is not so here.
No,
Okay.
I'm here.
Well,
No,
then
no, I'm
ask
here.
the
I was-
question. Okay.
No, he was asking if anyone had a question, and I really didn't. So I was wondering if you guys were
No,
gonna.
keep going, Syed.
No, I didn't have one. You can go ahead.
Okay. Rifat.
You wanna go first?
You can go first, then I will go.
Okay, so the most problem I had with was distributing the work equally and managing the group. And there's that, yeah, because I had 8 people in my group and
Right.
managing them was a huge like responsibility that I didn't want to take, but I had to. And again, yeah, distributing the work equally, because some of them came like midway through the week. So at the weekend, they came, 2 people came at the weekend. So I have to explain it to them what we are going through. And yeah, there's the whole mess.
Okay.
And we had to procrastinate for that. Like we
Right.
literally did the whole thing yesterday.
Rush work, huh?
Yep.
Okay. So it is a huge undertaking to lead. Many people don't understand this or think about it. For some people, it comes naturally. It comes as naturally as breathing. I, for some reason, X, Y, or Z, have been very good always at managing stuff. But you know, if I gave a leading role to my wife, for example, and I'm gonna use her as an example. You know, it would be a strange outcome, to say the least. I have faith that she can do it. It's just that, you know, it wouldn't come as easy to her as it comes to me. So, you know, leading is a huge undertaking, and I understand. So when it comes to distributing work, you know, consider that you're a team lead, and you know, you can't please everyone. That is one, and you know, you can't accommodate everyone. So sometimes you have to be there and make the tough choice and say, all right, guys, so this is the way we're going to break it down. Such and such is going to get this, such and such is going to get this, such and such is going to get this, and just work on that, right? So if I had 8 people, I would have broken it down in a sense where, all right, you're going to work in the introduction, you're going to work on the types of testing, you're going to work on the on you know, on say constraints or whatever. So you know, the whole point of it is to make sure that you trust your teammates to do the work that you can't get to. And so that in itself ends up building a good team culture, because now you all are acting as a unit. So you know, to all 3 of you, Rifat, Sayed, Famida, very good job. Very good job, everybody. All of you, clap yourselves. This,
Thank you, sir.
leading is not easy, and so this is a learning experience for all of you. It's a learning experience for the people taking the role of a lead. It's also a learning experience for the people taking the role of being a part of a team. You know, it's you know, I hope that you only didn't see your role, but you also saw the role of your lead, and vice versa, because you know, it teaches you both ends, both sides. You know, so it's good to acknowledge where your weaknesses are, so that you can, you know, make yourself stronger. All right. Fatima, you had a question.
Thank you. I thought you forgot about me, though I'm not a
I
test
did.
lead. Thank you so much. Could you just check whether we did the bugging process properly or not? That's really bugging me. Thank you.
Debugging. Sorry, debugging.
That's not mine. That's Famida.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Okay, so first of all, I was very interested into figuring out what this defects IDs were.
That Rifat could answer. The Rifat named them.
Yeah,
Right.
I just created random defect ID, bug IDs based
Okay.
on their scenarios.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Those
gonna
are
just
the
call it-
ones.
So basically,
you're gonna just
BGF
call-
means like bug game functionality, bug of game functionality.
Okay, fair enough. You're gonna just call it defect 1, defect 2, defect 3. But
It
okay.
doesn't look proper.
Sure. Sure.
You have to
Um,
understand, Socrates, because what we have been struggling with the whole week, we gave them a test scenario to do, and it came back as wrong. Then we have to give it back to them. That's why we did everything last minute. So it
Right.
was a whole mess.
I understand. Once
Yeah.
again, leading is tough. It wasn't.
It was tough for Rifat. That's why I did the work, because he was going like, if you have seen, I didn't see, I just heard him. He was going like all over the place. Poor him. But he did a great job.
So it's gonna try to keep a cool demeanor, though it's hard more often than not. So priority, you want to talk about low to high.
Okay.
So
later.
low, medium,
Let me
high.
write it down.
More often than not, it's just low or high.
Low or high,
But low,
okay.
medium, or high. So that's what priority should look like. So
Low, medium, high.
mhm,
All right.
low, medium, or high. So priority is low, you can forget
Mhm.
about it. Priority is medium. All right, we should take a look at it. Priority is high. All right, we gotta get this going. Okay. We gotta get working on it like right away. Severity. Now, this is good.
Okay.
Critical measure, minor. Sure. Yeah, this is good. My team lead, sure. Great day and a sense of developer. Yeah, this is very good.
So the status, should we put it like new because we just found it now, or the
Status should be
developer will
open.
put it open,
The status should be assigned or open.
assigned? Okay, then just because we assigned it, so it should be assigned.
Not assigned. I apologize. Just open, straight up
Open?
because
Okay.
it was already assigned to. So just
Okay. A status should be open. Thank you.
no problem. Okay, the tracking. Apologies for that. Okay, so same thing here on priority. Low to high. Okay. All right, folks, this is it for today. We didn't get to the test cases, nor did we get to the or did we get to the TMT test management tools. We're going to talk about that on the next class. For now, take a bit of the info that I gave you today and work on some of that if you can, and we can talk about it on the next class. Famida, you can get back to me on that other question you had. I'll get back to you. All right. Team, this was wonderful effort, wonderful work. I love the team effort, the work that you all put into this. This isn't easy. I wasn't expecting you guys really to, to give me a perfect test plan. This by no means. What I was gauging here was the team effort, the collaboration, right? And then your learning experience. So this is what we're gauging here. So overall, all three of you did a marvelous job. Okay, so great job, all of you. All right, and if I remember correctly, I owe somebody here a $25 Amazon gift card. Who was it?
That was me, but I
If
thought
you
it's
forgot,
Oh,
no,
Maurice Dar.
Maurice, if Socrates forgot, then all of us will. All of us.
I don't know about that.
you can distribute it. Yeah, I thought that was an invisible gift
To
card,
what?
so
To
I haven't
$1 a
said
person?
anything. I really thought it was an invisible gift card.
No, not at all. I did promise a gift card, so I will provide a gift card. No
It's
such
lost
thing.
in the mail.
So, send me, text me an email address where I can send it to you, okay?
Thank you.
No, thank you. Sorry for I forgot about it. I apologize.
That's okay.
All right, don't worry, guys. You'll have another chance at getting one. Next time. All right, folks. This is it for today. Thank you once again. Wonderful crowd, wonderful responses, good feedback, guys. Just for next class, I just want a little more of just the team leads to talk. I know there was some of you folks who talk, but offer to explain yourselves next time too. It's important. It's good. Okay. So with that said, thank you very much for being a wonderful student crowd. And I'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
99 night. All right, I gotta figure out how to stop this now. Here we go.